So this week on Bake Off, it was pastry week, and I'm a little apprehensive about trying something in pastry that's gluten-free, but I'm going to give it a go. So in front of me, I have
some cold water if I need it, 1 free-range egg, it's supposed to be medium, but I've only got large, 50 grams of Trex, 50 grams of margarine, and 200 grams of the gluten-free Juvella white mix.
And if you hadn't already guessed, this is all going to make the pastry for a Bakewell Tart, gluten-free style.
This is the only tin I've got that looks suitable, and unfortunately, as you can see, the base of the tin doesn't sit quite properly in the tin itself, and so I'm just hoping that the weight of the pastry will mean it doesn't go lumpy when I actually bake it.
So the first thing I'm going to do is put both of the fats into the flour and try and make them into kind of breadcrumbs. I used to do this all the time when I was little, when I was able to eat gluten, and it always was quite satisfying. I'll show you a close-up.
So all you have to do is just get your hands in and just rub the fat together between your fingers, and you should start seeing breadcrumb type consistency quite shortly. So you can see now it looks like breadcrumbs, and the next thing I'm going to do is crack an egg into it. Then I'm just going to whisk in the egg with a fork and hope that it makes the sticky dough promised on the back of the Juvella packet. I'm sure it will. So I've mixed it together, and that looks like about the right consistency. I may not have to use my water. The next thing I need to do is wrap this in cling film and pop it in the fridge. So the pastry has now been in here for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to take it out of the fridge and pop it on a floured surface.
And I'm really hoping that it's had enough time in the fridge to rest, as they say in the recipe.
I've dusted the top with flour so that it won't stick to the rolling pin. Oh no. My fear with gluten-free pastry is that it cracks quite badly. We'll see. I'll keep trying to roll this out, but I'm not convinced that it'll be like normal pastry. We'll see. We'll see. I shouldn't be so pessimistic, I suppose. So I've rolled it out to about the thickness of a £1 coin, and now the challenge is to get the pastry into this dish. We'll see if this works.
So here's the moment of truth. The pastry, will it go into the tin that I have greased? We shall see. Might give it a helping hand here to go around my rolling pin. The thing you have to remember about gluten-free pastry is it cracks a lot. I'm not convinced it's going to do it that way, actually. Right, I'm going to try something slightly different, and that is I'm going to put the tin over the pastry and just invert and see if that works instead. Let's see. Oh, has it stuck? Okay, it's stuck a little bit. Quite a bit actually, and it may slice my pastry in half. There's a tear. Oh no, there's another tear. Right, don't look. Nobody look.
So here's the pastry. I'm just going to prick it with a fork. I realise it doesn't look beautiful, but I'm going to try and bake it blind anyway. On the Bake Off, when they baked it blind, they put tin foil over, and then they put some beans, those sort of cooking beans that you can get, that you can reuse. I don't have any of those, and therefore I'm just going to pop another tin on top, and that way the pastry shouldn't puff up, it should stay flat. I'm putting that into the oven, and it's going to be at 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 minutes. So the ping is about to go, and I will rescue the pastry case from the oven. Let's see what it looks like. Take this away. Okay, that looks okay, a little bit crumbled just over there, but that's okay. 50 grams of marge, 50 grams of caster sugar, 1 egg, I've got a large one, and 50 grams of ground almonds, 25 grams of gluten-free self-raising flour.
I may not find making gluten-free pastry easy, but the middle bit should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to cream together the sugar with the marge, then I'm going to add the egg, and then the flour, just as you would with a cake. So I'll use an electric whisk. That looks quite creamy now. I'm now going to add the egg. I'm going to add the egg a little bit at a time because I don't want it to curdle.
quite a bit of the egg, but not quite all of it yet, and it looks as though it's on the verge of curdling, so I'm going to try a little trick. Basically, you add just a little bit of flour, not all of the flour, but a little bit, and mix it in, and then add the rest of the egg. So the mixture looks a lot better now, and I'm going to add the rest of the egg. And now I've added all of the egg, I'm going to add the rest of the flour and the ground almonds. Now this is where everything comes together. I've got the partly baked pastry case, I've got the mixture I just made, and some jam. I haven't got raspberry jam, and to be honest, I'm not really a big fan. I know all the people in Bakewell will be really sad to hear it, but I'm just using a red plant jam. This is the piping bag I've got with a nozzle in the end. And I'm going to hold my hand underneath in a sort of C shape and put all the mixture inside, and with luck, I'll be able to pipe it all on top of the pastry case without the jam coming through, which I know one of the contestants last night managed to get wrong, so I'm hoping this is one thing that I managed to get right with this dish. I wonder if the people in Bakewell use piping bags. We'd have to ask them. So there we have it, the finished pastry case. I'm just going to take this over to the oven. The oven is still at 180 degrees. So I'm popping that inside to bake, and let's hope it works out. The Bakewell Tart has now had nearly half an hour, and it's already looking quite brown, so I think this is time to take it out. You can see it's nicely brown on top, and if I just do a sort of press test, you can see it bounces right back and doesn't leave a dent, so I'm crossing my fingers that this is perfect. The Bakewell Tart has cooled, so it's taste testing time. I'm not going to put glacé icing on top for two reasons. The first is I've got a tiny hole in my pastry there, and the icing will just run off if I pour it on top. And then the second reason is I went on Twitter and everyone's really annoyed, it would seem, that they put glacé icing on last night, because apparently they don't do that with real Bakewell Tart in Bakewell. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove it from its case. You probably saw them yesterday on the bake-off, putting it on top of something, but actually there's a nice hand-shaped hole here. And I'm going to cut myself a slice. So just going in. Oh, that sounds very reassuring. Just lift that out. That doesn't look bad at all. I'm quite pleased with that. No soggy bottom. I think this is going to go well. It's okay, but it does taste a bit like a diet version, and I wonder if that's because I used marge instead of butter. If you've done a better gluten-free Bakewell Tart, then please send me your recipe and I'll do another video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again.